Welcome everybody to this extraordinary, completely unnecessary general meeting of the Parish Council. This was called to hear the following items that really could have been held at the next ordinary council meeting. First, I would like to ask all members to join me in a minute silence in honour of the former Councillor King Austin, an honorary alderman of the borough, who served the community for more than 30 years as a ward member for Hadley and Leegomery. Please stand. Thank you very much. Okay, first item on the agenda, apologies for our absence, is received apologies.
I've got Councillor Sadjunis and Councillor Showkat Ali. Oh, sorry, yes, and I'm mixed with George.
I don't have a proposer for those. Cllr Bennett. Cllr Second. All of those in favour? Against? Abstentions? Okay. Second item, public session. So this is an opportunity for members of the public to raise awareness of issues or to ask the Parish Council to consider items for a future meeting for a period of 15 minutes. Each individual will have 5 minutes maximum. Phil?
Yeah, I just want to comment that, over the last few years there seems to be a desire, some of this council, for special meetings, referendums. I mean, we had a referendum, I think about 2.5% turnout. Those silly games waste money and does nothing for the residents of our community. And I would urge all people to oppose that in future. On tonight's agenda, item C 25.128B, as a tax-paying resident, one who was on this council previously, and someone who did the finance portfolio Cllr. To say you don't want finance committees is absolutely rubbish. Members need more scrutiny of finance, not less. I'll give you an example. In 2012, when George Osborne brought in the cuts, I was doing the finance Cllr and I looked at everything. One of the things I found was that interest rate borrowing that came from Shropshire Council to Cllr was much higher than Cllr's. And I checked it through and I found that at that point in time, Shropshire's interest payments were 1.8% higher than Cllr's. And they carried that one right through. If you work it out, it cost them about 30 grand in the last 12 years. What's happened to Shropshire Council recently? They're almost bankrupt. So half that loss was from no scrutiny of capital borrowing. So I would totally oppose it, and I would urge all members not to vote for getting rid of it. The next two items 129, 130, when somebody is elected to a council, it's irrelevant what their status is or family connections. If the public believe that a family is dominating, then the public has a right on the ballot box to do something about it, but you can't change the rules. How could the officers run something like that? I mean, it's just silly. And item 132, I say, that ain't an item for an extraordinary meeting, that's for a general meeting I've got to say that, you know, I'm disappointed with some people in the council. I think they need to grow up and be sensible and work together for the better of the community. Thank you.
Amen.
Any other members of the public that would like to speak? Mr. Savage.
As many of you know, I track and publicise the crime statistics that Hadley and Leegomery. I've been doing it for 3 years since I returned from the Middle East. Every month, month on month, violence and sexual crimes are the top crime in our parish. You'll no doubt have seen the campaign to shut the alleyway, where recently a 15-year-old girl was sexually assaulted by 2 men wearing balaclavas. It's the alleyway that runs from Gladstone Street through to Manse Road, the same alleyway that you and I first met over 3 years ago.
Before I went for a councillor.
And I failed to convince you at that point in time to close it. And since then, numerous incidents have occurred in that alleyway: drug taking, drug dealing, alcohol, it's being used as a human toilet. And now, 3 years after that event, a 15-year-old girl has been sexually assaulted, whose life has now changed forever. In those crime statistics, I check where those crimes take place. There's never been a crime reported in this parish hall, ever. Not in the last 3 years. Yet we think it's okay to spend £7,000 on CCTV so that you all feel protected and safe in the parish council. I think that's fair. You want to spend £7,000 to feel safe in an environment that's never actually had any crime. You want to spend £7,000 of taxpayers' money, you go ahead. However,
Well, can I just
oh,
stop you a minute? No, there's just a resident that's standing outside in the rain because there's no disabled access to get in.
It's through the small door.
I'm going to pause my time, please. Can I continue now? Yeah. So, as I was saying, you've spent £7,000 or planned to budget for £7,000 for CCTV in this parish hall when there's never been a crime in this parish hall. I want you to consider being a 15-year-old girl. And I want you to have some empathy and think about being sexually assaulted by 2 men in balaclavas. I want you to spend a second just thinking about what that girl is going to do for the rest of her life. And this crime is happening in our parish. And I want you all to consider signing the petition and helping me get this alleyway closed. That's it. I would like an item on the agenda for next time to discuss closing this alleyway and carrying out a full parish survey of where women and girls feel unsafe in our parish and drawing up an action plan to start to deal with these issues. Instead of dealing with electric bikes or car parking or all of the menial stuff that we have in our parish, start dealing with the elephant in the room. Half of all of our crimes are violent and sexual crimes, and nothing is being done about it. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move. Is there any other members of the public? Sorry. Or any other comments? Time left.
Yeah, I've got a question, please, Chair.
Yeah.
So, to Chair and Council, with the reduction in meeting frequencies, does the Council agree that holding private group meetings to predetermined votes, especially well, that's infrequent. I will start again. With the reduction in meeting frequencies, does the Council agree that holding private group meetings to predetermined votes effectively bypasses public scrutiny and prevents residents from seeing how their representatives arrived at their conclusions?
Thank you. I will respond to this question because I did actually respond in a recent article in Cllr Live that I can confirm that there have been no group meetings for 12 months at this council. 12 months at this council. So any accusation that there are predeterminations at group meetings is an absolute lie. So if anybody can provide me with one single iota of evidence of a group meeting where an item has been predetermined over the last 12 months while I've been in this role, there have been no group meetings. I cannot put it any more clearly than that. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, just to reiterate what I responded to in the Cllr Live article, there have been no group meetings. So hopefully that puts everybody's mind at rest. Any other members of the public that would like to speak? Okay, we'll move on to the next item then. So the next item is disclose public pecuniary interest. So to receive any dispensations or declarations of interest in an item that is to be discussed on the agenda. Are there any? No? Anything comes up, let us know. Next item, minutes of the last meeting. So to confirm the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 3rd of February, have members had a chance to have a look at those minutes? Councillor Parr?
In that meeting, I did raise that the vote for one of the financial items had been called incorrectly, but there's no mention of that on the minutes.
Councillor Parr, if you recall, we responded to you on that and clearly explained that that item has not been moved on. You know how an item is moved forward or backwards in an agenda, and that was simply not the case. That was raised and that was resolved with yourself, and that is why that it is absolutely accurate in minutes. And we will put that to the council to decide whether they feel the minutes are accurate or not.
Chair, it wasn't resolved.
It was.
I sent you a transcript and to the clerk and to the vice chair. I sent a transcript of the recording of that meeting, clearly showing that you had called the wrong vote. So
No.
I'm raising that.
No,
It
should have
been included on the
been
minutes.
just to clarify this matter.
If I
because
can
it's absolutely
clarify the
inaccurate.
matter, the chair was discussing an agenda item. She never moved an agenda item forward. Therefore, we were always addressing the agenda item in question when we took the vote.
I can
Any
read
other
out
points, Councillor Parr?
I can read out the transcript.
Councillor
doesn't-
Parr, we do not need your transcript. We are talking about the minutes. You've made your point. The
Okay.
council will decide on the minutes. But we have made it very clear that the agenda item had been announced. The discussion had been taken off by the vice chair regarding a certain issue. It was then brought back to the agenda item. No movement of agenda items on that agenda were made, because that has to be proposed and seconded and it has to be voted on by the council. You know how this works. You are the one who likes to pull people up on procedures, and you know how this works.
If I can also say, that was also precedent set in that exact meeting where we did exactly that thing, where we moved an agenda item forward. So in that case, we were still talking about the agenda item in question. As you know, people talk all the time. We stick to the agenda item that we're on.
Councillor Brown?
Chair, I'd like to propose to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Have I got
And I'll
a
second
second?
it. And I wasn't here, but I'll second it. So I'm sure it's
I
correct.
don't know whether you can,
She
can't
is.
you?
I can't, but you haven't picked me up yet.
Do you want to?
I'll accept as well.
All of those in favour? And against? Thank you, the vote is carried and the minutes are recorded. Standing orders. Okay, so just to clarify, we now move on to our motions. Each member, when we are dealing with motions, each member only has an opportunity to speak once, and they have a maximum of 5 minutes during the rules of debate. So the first item, Cllr Parr. I'll pass over to you.
Thank you. So the first motion is to resolve that Council returns to monthly meetings of full Council and then disbands the Finance and General Purposes Committee. So some time ago, the Labour Group decided to reduce the frequency of full Council meetings of this Council to once every 2 months, even though your own members privately complained about meetings overrunning. There are 16 members of this Council and 11 of them are on the Finance and General Purposes Committee. Of those 11, 9 are Labour councillors. When this decision was brought to the Council for a formal vote, which is a box-ticking exercise because the decision was made before Council meetings, I argued that if the meeting schedule needed to be cut, then F and GP should be cut, not the full Council. The Clerk told the Council it was a legal requirement to have a Finance Committee, and that's something that I've subsequently found to be untrue.
I don't think that's true, actually, Councillor.
It was. My proposal...
Excuse me, could I just ask that the clerk be allowed to answer you?
I haven't finished.
Because you cut her off.
No, she
when
cut
she
me off.
was, no, she didn't.
Well,
Okay, what does the standing order say? Do I need to stop? Through an expansion or not?
Let's allow Cllr Parr to finish his motion, and then I will bring the clerk back in just to clarify the point. So,
Thank you.
Cllr Parr.
I do record meetings, so I argued that if the meeting schedule needed to be cut, then F and GP should be cut, not full Council. As I said, the clerk said that which was a requirement to have a Finance Committee, and it's not. So my proposal didn't go to the vote on the basis of that advice, but it didn't really matter because the decision had already been made. The Financial General Purposes is a de facto full Council meeting. It just excludes non-Labour councillors that ask inconvenient questions and disagree with the Labour Group's decisions. The decision is clearly designed to reduce transparency and accountability and control the flow of information. And there's a legal mechanism for any 2 councillors to call an extraordinary general meeting of the council, and that's the reason why we're here tonight. It's one of the mitigations against political groups abusing their power to undermine the democratic process, which is something that happens on this council continuously. The Labour Group tried to change the council's rules in that same meeting, where they reduced the frequency of full council meetings. They tried to change it so that it would require 6 councillors to call an EGM. So why 6? Because there were only 5 non-Labour councillors, and the Labour Group wants to control everything that happens in this council. But much to your disappointment, I pointed out what you were trying to do was illegal. Shouldn't have even been on the agenda. This isn't something restricted to having Leegomery Parish Council either. Under leadership, Hadley Parish Council also reduced their full council meetings to every other month, and their job was taken up by another committee stuck with Labour councillors. So my question is, what have you got to hide? And I suspect we will find out shortly.
Is that everything? Have you got a second for your motion?
Chair, if you don't mind, I'll stand up because I'm better off standing up and I'm talking.
That's brilliant, thank you.
Chair, I support this motion because something fundamental is not working. This council is supposed to be where decisions are made openly, transparently, and with proper scrutiny. But that's not what's happening. We've just heard a question from the former chair of this council asking whether private group meetings are being used to predetermine decisions before they reach full council. That question matters because it comes from someone with direct experience. And the concern is a simple one. If decisions are being discussed, shaped and effectively agreed before they come into this room, then this is not where decisions are made. It is where they are confirmed. And the reality is, meetings are taking place outside of this council, still, irrespective of what you've stated. Yes, they are spoken. I've spoken to one of your colleagues this week. I've spoken to one of your colleagues this week.
Provide evidence or withdraw your accusation because you have no evidence because it's simply not true, Councillor Bennett. Stop lying in this chamber.
Point of order, please.
No, I'm currently
No, you have to
hearing the
listen to the
motion
order.
saying, okay,
You have to accept.
are we going to let Councillor
Leegomery.
Bennett, and I will bring you in, because the chair had a point of order during yours, the clerk, sorry, and I allowed you to continue with the motion. So would you like to do the same for your companion, or do you want me to carry on and let you do the point of order?
The clerk can't raise a point of order, the councillor can at any time. Has to
She
listen
can
to
make
it.
the clarification, Councillor Parr. So I will come to your point of order. What is your point of order? Which part of the standing order does it apply to?
Well, I'd like you to explain which standing order.
No, you have to tell me which standing order you are calling a point of order on.
Okay, carry on.
That is in the standing
Carry
order.
on.
No, if you don't know the standing orders,
I do, but
tell
carry
me
on.
which standing order you are calling a point of order on.
I will withdraw my point of order.
Okay.
Carry on.
Councillor Benion, carry on.
And I refer. Right. Meetings start taking place outside this council. Days before full council, and sometimes immediately before we even sit down in this room. In those meetings, positions are agreed. So when we arrive here, the outcome is already known. So I ask a simple question. What's the point of this meeting? What is the point of attending if the decision has already been taken? What is the point of debate if it cannot change anything? This week, in response to an article published by Untitled Chapter, the chair chose to respond publicly, but instead of addressing the issue, the response focused on my attendance. Let me deal with that clearly. Attendance is not the issue. The issue is whether attendance has any purpose. Sorry. Because if decisions are already made elsewhere, then being here does not influence the outcome. Now let me give you a clear example. Before Cllr Keeble had even attended his first ever full council meeting, before any vote had taken place, he publicly stated on social media that he had been elected chair of the Finance and General Purposes Committee. Note, before the meeting, before the vote, that should not happen, and yet it did. So I will ask directly to the chair, do you elect officers at your private meetings?
No.
Okay, bear that in mind.
Yeah.
Please bear that in mind. Because that's exactly what appears to be. And it does not stop there. From documentation relating to those same group discussions, please bear in mind what we just said no. Okay? If you want it, you can pass it down.
Councillor Benion, what did I just say about there have been no group meetings for 12 months?
That's okay, you just said that. Read it, pass it down.
Put their names at the top.
From the documentation relating to those same group discussions, I'm handing around an excerpt from the late group minutes. And within that document, it is recorded that Councillor Usman Ahmed withdrew his interest.
20 seconds.
And that Councillor Cllr was elected chair of the council. Not nominated, not proposed, but elected.
By the group.
And that chair
To be
of the
put
council.
forward
You were
for
elected.
election.
No.
You don't get elected into
No,
the
no, no.
council meeting, Councillor Benion. I'm afraid you just
And
don't
that
have
was not
nominated
in this room.
people of council
That was in
meetings.
a private group meeting.
God.
So by the time this council came to vote,
That's 5 minutes.
Okay, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benion. I will move on to the
I'll
debate.
tell you what, no, it's not, no problem.
I'll move on to the debate.
Andy.
Councillor
That's my
Brown,
speech.
Councillor Keeble. In fact, before that, I wanted to Barkin to make the point that she wanted to make during the proposal.
Okay, I never said that the Finance Committee was illegal. If I can read out something about disbanding the Finance and General Purpose Committee as my advice to the Council. We are legally required to ensure proper financial administration under section 151 of the Local Government Act 1972. that a finance committee is the mechanism most councils use to meet that duty effectively. I don't know if you misunderstood what I said, Councillor Parr. We must also maintain strong internal controls and risk management under the accounts and audit regulations. Across the country, finance committees carry out these essential tasks, reviewing audits, monitoring expenditure and managing reserves. The law also requires us to set a lawful precept under Section 41 of the Local Government Finance Act 1992, and finance committees prepare the detailed budget work needed for that decision. Best practice from other councils shows the same pattern. Their Finance and General Purposes Committee handle financial scrutiny, policy review, risk and governance, ensuring councils operate transparently and responsibly. Removing our committee would weaken oversight, increase risk and burden full council meetings with technical work that they are not designed to manage. For these reasons, keeping the Finance and General Purposes Committee is not just good practice, it is essential for lawful, accountable and effective governance. I strongly urge you to keep the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Councillor Brown, can those who want to speak indicate, and I will make a list. Councillor Brown, Cllr Snell, Cllr Keeble, Cllr Millward, Cllr Hughes, Cllr Bennett, and myself. Okay, thank you. So I'll come to David first.
Thank you, Chair. I think the discussion we just had, it was supposed to be on motion C25-128. It got conflated into all the following motions. However, I hear what you said about finance, and the Finance and General Purposes Committee does a lot of the heavy lifting in this council. We're looking after £500,000 worth of public money, which is really important. And not only do we look at the budget and make recommendations to the full council, but also for the annual audit, the grants and planning permission. So disbanding the Finance and General Purpose Committee, I think, would be a misstep. And am I able to make a counter proposal?
You can make an amendment to a motion, but you can't make
I can make an amendment. I think that we should retain the bi-monthly meetings of the full council, but we should return to monthly F&GP meetings. So that scrutiny, in fact, I think Becky, looking at finance, has got an enormous amount of work to do every 2 months. It would be far better, and it would be better scrutiny if we did it every month.
Do you mean full council every month, Councillor Brown?
No.
Because you said F&GP every month. That's what we've got currently.
It's there.
We don't have F&GP. We've got F&GP every month, every 2 months.
They alternate.
Can I allow Becky just to make a comment on that?
Just to comment on that, the same work is done at each meeting that we have. So the same faster payments, direct debits, payroll, is done
I
at each
understand that.
meeting. It has to
Got to make committed to the scrutiny. There's a whole time, there's 2 months worth of
Yes.
work.
Well, there's 1 month. It's because you used to have 2 meetings per month. So all of that, all those payments now come to 1 meeting per month. So that's why your invoices is a little bit thicker.
So definitely we should, I support the clerk's point, we should not disband it.
So, do you want to put that as a formal amendment to the motion?
Well, it looks as though my understanding of the timing is perhaps not quite correct. I'm looking at the chair of the FNGP.
Okay, we did it. FNGP is bi-monthly.
Yeah.
So that's better said about it.
So I return and say I think we should do it monthly.
So did you want to put that forward for a second?
I
Or
do,
do you want to, you do. So is there a second for that proposal for monthly finance meetings?
Yeah.
Second. And all of those in favour of that, or actually, so we've got a second, actually we'll debate that, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself, I've been away for a few days and I'm trying to get my head back into gear. So, do you want to, we've got a proposal for a second, do you want to say any more on that, or do you just move, are there any other comments or questions on that at all, Jordan?
It's not on
the amendment?
I've had comments on the amendment.
No. So David has suggested that we keep full council meetings at bi-monthly, but finance meetings at monthly. Councillor Millward has seconded. All of those in favour of that? Yeah. And all of those against? Okay. So that amendment is carried. Okay, so now we've just double check exactly where we're at with that motion. So this is part A and part B that we are resolving. So we'll alter that. So not to disband. Okay. Makes it very difficult on the motion, Councillor Brown, because obviously Cllr Parr's motion is to disband finance and general purposes altogether. But to amend it to just keep bi-monthly meetings and move to monthly finance meetings completely kind of changes things. So, your advice, Bob?
How do you find that difficult?
Sorry?
How do you find that difficult?
Well, because Cllr Parr's motion is to bring monthly full council meetings and disband the Finance and General Purposes Committee.
Yeah, which I think would be...
So your amendment kind of completely takes away from that, so it's very difficult to...
You can do an amendment for both of them, for A and B, if you want to do that. If you want to do an amendment for A and an amendment for B.
Okay.
Well, effectively, I did that.
Effectively.
Right.
Chair.
Cllr Parr.
I'm confused what's going on here. So I put forward that motion. I didn't put it forward just part A. I put forward A and B. Councillor Brown's amended it. It was seconded. You voted on the amendment. You haven't voted to take a vote on the amendment. You voted for the amendment. That agenda item's done. So I'm confused.
We haven't voted on the whole motion, it's on a particular amendment.
The amendment is that...
Yeah, that becomes a substantive motion. Yeah. So the amendment becomes a substantive motion. You voted
B is not part of it.
Yeah. So the disbanding of Finance and General Purposes Committee, it has been proposed that is not disbanded, and in fact it goes to monthly rather than the whole council meeting. But yeah, I think it does make it very difficult with the motion as it is.
Do you want to withdraw your motion, your amendment?
I think we have to. I think we have
And
to
then
reconsider the
take
motion.
it.
You've already voted for the amendment. You've already voted for the amendment was a substantive motion. You voted on it.
I think we need to withdraw the amendment, if I'm honest, because I think it just takes away from your...
You've already voted on it.
We can vote to...
Under what standing order do we vote to?
Okay, well we'll move forward on a substantive motion that is that full council meetings will stay at bi-monthly and Finance and General Purposes will not be disbanded, it will go to monthly. All of those in favour?
So, yeah.
Oh.
You've already done that. You've already had that, so that's what I'm saying.
Councillor Bennett just said, well, it's going to be Councillor Bennett's
Yeah, okay.
Because you talked about me.
Cllr Keeble would like to exercise his right of reply as he has been specifically named within Cllr Benion's statement. So I'm going to bring Cllr Keeble in.
Yeah, so just to provide context, that was just over 3 years ago, and only recently been elected. And it was a mistake on my behalf. I apologise for that. I reported myself to the monitoring officer. They investigated, so no further action, as you are well aware, because I have told you. And it just seems to keep banding around. Now, interestingly, that Telford Live post you were talking about that got shared by Paul on the Facebook page, and this sort of believing in these theories is stoking division, really. And there was a post recently by Paul, there was a comment on it. Again, this comment, I'm not going to go all into it, but towards the its end, I'm going to be verbatim now. He says, corruption at its finest. In places like Russia, they purge by killing dissidents. We need to do that, and then it swears, I'm going to do that here, or chop their feet and hands off. The public want blood. Okay? So these sorts of comments that you're making, these spurious accusations, are feeding that directly from one of those things. Okay? Now, I believed Paul earlier, and you believe in the safety of people in this parish, and I genuinely think you got that sort of at your core. But this sort of division, that comment's not been taken down, that's still up there. And I believe Stuart, you're the admin of that page. So Paul, you're a moderator on that page.
Yeah.
And it's about on those tokens, be nice and language used. I don't think that's being nice.
Could I mention my name? Could I just ask? Why don't you simply report it to me? And I'll take it down. I haven't seen it. Report it. I'll take it down.
I apologise for that, Paul. I think hopefully you can take it down.
You report it. I'll take
It
it
should
down.
be notified from you if it's a comment on your post. But the thing is, this sort of comments, this sort of beliefs that you've got, and to be honest, it's ridiculous. You're misinterpreting things. It's feeding this high tension, and it's very dangerous. I just let you know that right now. Okay? For everybody's safety around here, and also people's safety out in the parish. Okay?
Chair, can I just respond to that, please? So you're saying that it wasn't agreed in a Labour meeting?
I'm telling you, it was not agreed. No,
Okay, that's fine.
That's what finance and general budget of this council.
Okay, that's fine.
That's a misinterpretation. Okay?
I'm going to come in on group meeting. I want to raise a point on this group meeting because you've been very vocal about it, and the person that actually raised it was actually the disgraced former chair of this very council was the very person who tried to install a formal group process within the Labour group. And when I came into the chair, I removed it. And there have been no Labour group meetings for a year. So that person who is sitting here tonight trying to hold us to account, I will not be held to account by that particular person. Knowing what I know about that particular person and why they are no longer chair of this council. That particular person was the person who tried to install a formal group structure, and it was my taking that to our CLP that had that removed. So I will put that on record for you now. I'm still making a point, thanks Councillor Parr, so you can put your hand down for a moment. So our group meetings, and a ridiculous article by Cllr Benion regarding group meetings. As I said in my response, and have said on multiple occasions on this evening, this group has not met outside of this chamber in 12 months. You can't ban us for talking to each other. Your insecurities, Cllr Benion, I'm afraid are not our problem. You have attended barely any meetings, yet you say that you are excluded from decision making, and that is simply not the case. You're excluding yourself by not turning up and putting yourself in the seat that the residents elected you into. Stop trying to put that responsibility at the collective feet of this council and simply accept that you are not going and sitting in your seat. I know you have had very good reasons for not being in your seat, but you just need to be honest about why you're not here and understand that conflicting responsibilities affect all of the members of this council, not just you. So we all have very serious things to contend with ourselves, but we put ourselves forward for these seats and we are elected to them, and we have a responsibility to be sitting in them when there is a council meeting. As for excluding councillors, I'd like to point out the complete contradiction of some of the untruthful claims, made about excluding members with bi-monthly meetings, excluding members from taking part in decisions, democratically elected members, when this very EGM has two what I believe are unlawful motions sat on them, which specifically and deliberately seek to do exactly that, exclude elected members in their own right to sit in their seats that were given to them by the residents of this parish. So why is it that there's two particular councillors that like to create all of the negativity around this parish? Because they're not happy with the democratic decision of the local people. They are against democracy, they are against fairness, and they should apologise for this abuse of their positions for their own self-interests.
Chair, I'm going to leave it. I'm a senior manager for BAE.
You don't have to say anything to me.
And one thing as a senior manager, I will tell you what, when you lose trust, you lose everything. You've lost trust, I don't trust you, I don't believe a word you say, I will call you a liar in front of everybody. I think it's a lie.
You are lying.
Bye.
Chair, we can only discuss things that are on the agenda.
I'm going to bring everybody in because I've got to bring this back again. This is a very difficult meeting for me, and people can sit here and they can judge and they can laugh and they can think that this is a funny situation. But this is a very stressful situation to be in, the situation that we're in currently. So if I do slip up, I apologise, but I am a human being the same as the rest of you. So please, let's have just a little bit of decorum within this chamber, because what I am seeing is a despicable show of people making political points and not actually putting the benefits of this parish first, which is happening regularly. So I apologise if there are any slip-ups. If people think that that's not good enough, I apologise in advance. But I am a human being, and the stress that has been put upon this parish is absolutely unbearable sometimes, simply for trying to deliver for this area. So I will move on. We are still debating the motion, okay? So I'm going to bring in the people that have put their hands up previously. They're going to bring this back on track.
Which motion?
So we had...
Chair, sorry, can I just ask which agenda item are we on? Which agenda item are we on?
We're on your motion.
Which one?
We're on the first motion.
It's done, you voted on it, you can't debate it.
We haven't voted on it, we voted on the amendment.
Yes,
we haven't voted on it, Cllr Parr.
Can we ask the clerk to clarify this?
We have voted on the amendment. We are now going to debate the amendment.
It's been voted on.
It hasn't been voted on. Cllr Parr, I'm going to ask you to stop, otherwise I will ask for members to stop hearing you in this chamber. So I'm going to move on to the debate. We've heard from Cllr Brown, we've heard from Cllr Keeble. Did you have, because yours was response, do you have something to add to the debate, Cllr Keeble?
I don't have anything further apart from the fact that finance and competence, as already has been said, is a good mechanism to ensure their scrutiny, proper financial scrutiny of this council, which we do. Okay, and just parking from the sidelines, to be honest. It's just, it makes you lose the will, really. I'm second by Cllr, but that's all I've got to say on this motion. Chair, can you just say one thing?
Cllr Snell.
I think quite a lot of ground to cover here, if you'll forgive me.
You've got 5 minutes.
For the benefit of the public, there are three independents sitting here, And we're not in a group. Four.
People keep forgetting that.
Oh, I do
So the
apologise.
stats were wrong.
Yeah,
as well.
there are four of us. But whether there are meetings outside by the socialist group or not, when we get in a meeting, we have a fair debate and people put forward motions and we all have a great discussion about them and we reach a conclusion. I've been on this council now nearly 7 years and I can't think of a single resolution of matters concerning the parish where one's political view came into it. I just can't think of a case. Now, we've had some right royal battles over finance, as you would know, and ex-councillor will know, but all that's gone and things have got resolved. I think one of the major issues is, are we covering the business in the meetings that we do have? Now, I can't answer that, but it might be a good idea to record just how long every meeting does last, so that we can decide, you know, at a future date, of course, to follow. But anyway, I'm not particularly against the resolution. I'm fairly neutral. Provided we meet regularly, that's all I care. And I really don't want to get further into the debate.
Thank you, Councillor Snell. Councillor Millward.
Thank you. If I could go to the second part of the finance committee, I would go back to the outside audit. We had over 12 months ago, and that cost us how much? A lot of money, of residents' money, and it's found, I'm supposed to
Democracy.
yes, absolutely democracy, and we found to be fully compliant. And it also said that there were some minor observations and recommendations that have been implemented, but it said that the Finance and General Services Committee is best practice because it's long-standing, it gives public scrutiny, and it is open to people to see all the accounts. It's open, and no deal is done behind closed doors because different councillors have to verify each transaction. It's open to the public, so therefore that's why I supported Councillor Brown. I believe, because I'm a traditionalist and I'm possibly the only real Hadley lad here, that it's been that long that we've had a Finance General Purpose Committee and we should keep it every month. Now I want to go to the first part of this motion. Again, it's been long-standing that we have a monthly parish council meeting for the members of the public to come and meet and to discuss things that affect this parish. Now, I would, in principle, support going back to a monthly parish meeting. We've got to ask ourselves the question, why we went to a bi-monthly meeting. Now I want to bring in Becky and Jane here. First thing I'll say is, I've been a leader as well, and I've been a senior manager as well. And if I had members of staff like Jane and like Becky, I would have struck gold. I've seen their work over the last 3 years. It is second to none. Their attention to detail is second to none. Their loyalty to this parish is second to none. The amount of work they put in every week, every month, unpaid, to make sure that business is transacted and that they deliver our expectations, not only expectations of the council, but the expectations of the residents. And they should be applauded for it. And I'm going to go even further. One of the prime reasons why we went to meetings was the unnecessary work, the freedom of information requests that were bunged in just to be vexatious. That's why we've got a duty of care to our staff to make sure that they have a balanced workload. Once we assess the balanced workload, and once we've done a work study on what they do, I will welcome them going back to a monthly meeting. But I'll tell you now, Jane and Becky, they're golden. Thank you.
Well, I just feel very sad. I have no emotion. I have been on this council for quite a while, and it has become more vexatious over the past few years. And I, like all the other who are not members of the Labour Party, but I consider the councillors good friends. We meet, we talk, and we're not standing in the corner saying, oh, I don't want anything to do with you because you're on the other side of the spectrum. No, we listen to each other, and that's what it's all about. We are people representing other people, and we care about them. And it's not ourselves. I don't want any grandiose position. I've just been in Australia for 2 months to stay with my daughter. I did it all properly. I got leave. Well, I've been back a while now, and now I do wish I'd never come back. I've never heard such nonsense as goes on in this room. And we are not here to persecute each other. I'm a Christian. I don't care what religion anybody else is, but very soon it's going to be Easter, a very important time for my Christian religion. And there's going to be, not celebrations, not till Easter Sunday, because on Good Friday, the man that was guiltless will be crucified yet again in the hearts of those who follow him. And, what are we doing to each other? Here, we're human beings. Get alive and live it. That's all I've got to say. Get alive and live it, but live it with care for other people. I care for other people. I'm well known for it. People will tell you I've had to miss one of my favourite meetings in the church to come here tonight. And so important did I feel this was that I had to set up other people to take my role. And I feel very guilty about that, to be honest with you, but I felt that my place was here because I was elected, and this is not the first time I've been elected, to serve the people of Hadley and Leegomery. And that's what it's all about. I'm sorry folks sitting out there, that's what we're elected to do. And that's what we try to do very hard, indeed. And all this carping and carrying on, it should be done away with. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Callum. Councillor Bennett. Yeah, obviously, I don't agree that we should disband the finance and general purpose. It's absolutely bizarre. But I'd just like to make a point. You keep going on about 9 Labour councillors. I'm an independent councillor, so if you could please stop doing that. Yeah. 9 out of 11.
I'm sorry, I said that. I don't know what you're talking
You did, you said from over there.
You said 9 out of 11.
about. That was me.
It was you.
I know.
Well, I'm glad you've got the recording.
That's okay.
And my other point is,
I'll accept the apology when you realise.
I'll have yours. Can I carry on speaking now, please? And keep stop interrupting me, it's very rude. And obviously we're all sat here tonight for an EGM, and that just goes to show, should there be any urgent things that arise that need to bring us to this table to discuss, it can be easily done. So why we need to ruin the structure of the council already is beyond me, and it just seems, well, the whole agenda seems absolutely pointless. But Yeah. That's what I have to say. Please stop calling me a late councillor. That's Councillor Bennett. And I want to say something on my. Have you got a point of order, Councillor Parr?
Yeah, no, it's not a point of order.
You can't, well, I need to.
I moved that the question be put, yeah.
Sorry?
You brought me in, I moved that the question be put.
No.
You can't say no.
I haven't.
Seconded.
Well, I can
You
because
brought my second up.
I haven't had my say on the motion.
You check with the clerk.
I think the chair can say that the motion has been fully debated or not, whether they consider the motion being fully debated or not. I don't, because I haven't said what I wish to say. So I'm going to continue and say what I need to say. So it comes down to whether the chair considers whether the debate has been completely debated or not. So I'm going to have my say. I've got my name down on the list, so I'm going to say it. So, you think you would welcome all comments on this? You brought an extraordinary meeting, so you'd think that you would really welcome all comments on it, Cllr Parr. So, the new structure, in my opinion, has worked well. This is not about diary preferences, but rather about good governance, staff capacity and the quality of decisions made on behalf of residents. Local government can be complex. Every report that is brought before us represents hours, sometimes weeks of officer time, so consultations, legal checks, financial planning, risk assessment, and officer time spent turning items into deliverable projects for the community. Compressing that work into a 4-week cycle is not without its consequences. So monthly meetings mean that officers are in a permanent reporting loop, leaving less time for them to actually implement the decisions that we make at this council. This was what was happening previously, and I can think of numerous items on the council that were brought previously that were never actually delivered. Decisions made, no action whatsoever. This resulted in accuracy being breached. If this was changed back over, this would mean less accuracy, less compliance, less efficiency. It is not the responsible thing to do, getting rid of a finance committee with the scrutiny that delivers and the transparency that it delivers. It is not the responsible thing to do. Bi-monthly meeting strikes a good balance. It allows us to scrutinise regularly, gives officers time to deliver the meaningful progress between full council meetings. It supports both transparency and operational effectiveness. In fact, this very meeting demonstrates that we don't need to return to monthly meetings, because look how easy it was for us to meet when there was a desire to do so. Now, I want to address the complete falsehood that has been raised publicly and repeatedly, the suggestion that bi-monthly meetings was designed to exclude particular members from decision making. Let's be very clear. No member has ever been excluded from taking part in full council. Every member has the same opportunity to attend, speak and vote on all items, unless they have a conflict of interest or a pecuniary interest. No one is shut out, no one is silenced, the doors are open and the chairs are there for you to sit in. The papers are published and the public gave you your seat to sit in. But participation does require your attendance, and you cannot participate if you do not turn up to sit in your seat. It is difficult to accept claims of being excluded when those very same members were actually offered to be included on committees and specifically said, I do not wish to be involved in any committees. Take me off them. Yeah. So to top this off, councillors who regularly don't turn up for meetings, so that makes it very difficult for them to take part in decision making. So how are they going to make monthly meetings if they can't turn up bi-monthly? This council meeting schedule must be based on the needs of the organisation, not individuals. We have to consider staff capacity, quality of decisions. It cannot be dictated by the habits or preferences of one or two individuals, particularly those with preferences are not backed by consistent engagement. We need to set this based on responsible workloads, well-informed decisions and good preparation. And monthly meetings would not strengthen that or democracy. It would strain resources, weaken report quality and slow down delivery, which in my opinion is the opposite of what we want to do. But I think it may be what the opposition would like us to do, because it doesn't deliver for the local people, but it does prioritise political theatre. Thank you.
Chair, can I just have some redress with
No, you
regards to-
don't.
because I think it's only right if you refer to myself
I
and the
didn't
reason.
name you Cllr Benion, so there is
But
no
you
right
looked
to
at me
reply.
and you were making reference to the fact that yes, I did say I don't want to be on the committees, but there was a reason for that. And you, full well, if you'd have read the rest of the response segment, if you'd have read the rest of the response segment, you didn't ask me, nobody asked me. You did what you've done with everything else, which is to predetermine.
No, it's
Like
not
you
to
came and said, Cllr Benion will be on this committee.
I'm gonna
Never
stop
asked.
that
Never
now because you haven't got
And I'd ask also the
Cllr
clerk
Benion.
to record, if you could make a recording, please, in the minutes of Councillor Cllr's comments, just all of it, right? Because I have evidence that it's incorrect.
I've written it down, Cllr Benion. I'll give them a written copy so that they've got it word for word.
I'd like to
Okay, it's written down. I will reply it to the clerk.
I'd like
Now
to
I'm going to silence you because you don't have the floor currently. So I'm going to move on. However, we've got the substantive motion, which now reads that the council meetings, the full council meetings will remain monthly and that Finance and General Purposes Committee will be bi-monthly. Full council will be bi-monthly and Finance and General Purposes will be monthly. Councillor Parr, you have a right to comment at the end of the motion. Would you like to?
The only thing I'll say is, as former Councillor McClements here said, shouldn't get rid of the Finance Committee because the Council needs more scrutiny, which becomes increasingly evident as time goes on. The best way to scrutinise the Council's work is through a full Council meeting where all members are able to scrutinise the Council's work every month, not to increase the frequency of the Finance and General Purposes Committee that excludes some councillors, compounding the issue that the motion is supposed to address. But as I said, the decision's made already.
So we'll move to the vote on the substantive motion. All of those in favour? And those against? No abstentions, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is, again, motion from Councillor Parr, item C25 129.
Yeah.
So bring the clerk in first, got
Okay,
a point to make.
Okay. This is regarding C25 129 and C25 130. Chair, members, I would like to advise the Chair and the Council that these motions are not lawful and that acting on these would put the Council at risk. I have taken advice from NALC, which I have only received this afternoon. Had I received this advice earlier, I would not have allowed these two motions to be on the agenda. Their senior solicitor has written to me saying, the legal point in my view is whether the motion on committee membership is reasonable and rational. I think the proposed motion will be at risk of successful challenge by way of judicial review if passed. It does not appear to be neutral on the facts, but a way of preventing specific persons from being on a committee. Another issue with the proposed motions I would raise is the implications of the Leegomery judgment. This is because the motion would have the effect of operating sanctions against specific councillors, albeit there is no code of conduct breach in this case. I therefore advise the Chair that these motions are withdrawn. If a council passes a motion that the clerk advised was unlawful, as I am now, that motion is invalid and can be challenged in court or by a district auditor.
And that is for motion
129 and 130.
So those motions are not as they are on. So we'll
Is that the
move on
case?
to.
Can Cllr clarify, is that proposed that the correct process as a chair to decide, or does it have to be?
That is the correct process. I've just said, I therefore advise the chair that these motions are withdrawn.
And the chair can do that.
And the chair has agreed to withdraw them.
Well, the chair wouldn't agree to take forward a motion that was deemed as unlawful with Melt's advice, so.
It's their senior solicitor from now.
So we will move on to the next item, which is C25131, Cllr Parr.
Yeah, so this motion is to resolve that the Council adopts general power of competence with effect from the 1st of September 2026 and provides monthly updates to all members on progress towards meeting the prerequisite requirements. The only detail I've got to add really is just as an example of why I think it's important that the Council adopts general power of competence. It might seem like a trivial thing, but actually it kind of switches the law around. So that instead of the council only being allowed to do things which are specifically permitted to, which is explicitly permitted to do, it switches that around so that it is able to carry out any acts that is not unlawful. So that gives the council far more power to do things that are of benefit to the community. And one of the examples that's quite pertinent at the moment is we've been talking about future uses for the cemetery chapel, and in the consultation feedback, the most popular potential future use for that building so far, unless that's changed in the last couple of weeks, was to use it as a wedding venue and a funeral venue. So as things stand with that general power of competence, the council is allowed to charge a fee that covers costs for hiring out the cemetery chapel, and the income from that needs to be used for the chapel or for a closely related issue. It can't just be can't charge commercial rates for something as like a business venture and then put that money into something completely unrelated, whereas a general power of competence would allow that. So that's just one current example of something that the council is considering doing that I think would probably either require general power of competence or to make it effective and beneficial to the parish council, and therefore the local community that would require general power of competence, and the council has not held it for quite some time, unless we set a deadline on it for when we want to do it. Don't see that it's going to happen.
No, I second that proposition.
Thank you, Cllr Benion. Do you have a point of clarification?
Just on that little point of GPC and not being able to have income. The LGA 1972, section 133, the council can provide and equip community buildings and buildings for public meetings and assemblies. We can hire these out. I'm not quite sure why I think we need GPC to be able to charge the use of hiring out the room of the building.
It's the difference between hiring out the room that covers it covers reasonable costs and operating of the business. So wedding venues are expensive. You know, something like that as a private venture, you would pay many hundreds of pounds and possibly more to hire out that sort of venue. I don't think the parish council would have the legal power to do that, to operate it as a business venture.
I disagree. I think the council have legal power to.
It's not that.
You would benchmark the commercial rates that everybody charges, and you would charge the same. Not to do so would be financially irresponsible.
Okay, so we've got a proposer and a seconder. I'm going to put it out to the debate. Does anybody wish to speak on Millward?
Yeah, especially on the chapel. It is very difficult to open up the chapel to ceremonies because you have to remove any sort of religious connotation, such as stained glass windows, such as altars, such as pews. Now, one of the things on the chapel especially, and I'll come back to, could you turn that on, please?
Turn it down.
I'll turn it down, please. It's annoying.
Councillor, she may have caring responsibilities.
And that's
Have you
really
ever thought
rude
about that?
Excuse me, we can't have disruptions from the public gallery, even if it is a mobile phone. We do ask that you turn them on to silent or.
Sorry, Chair, I've just said she may have caring responsibilities, so how do you know?
Having your phone on silent does not stop you responding to caring responsibilities. Thank you.
Does
Please
it?
do not interrupt from the public gallery.
Oh, you've interrupted enough tonight, haven't you? Let's be fair.
Sorry?
Well, you
I will ask you to leave.
ask me to leave and see what happens, Councillor Clear.
Is that correct?
Can we get back to what we
Can
were
we just
talking
move
No,
on?
ask you to leave. Let's see what happens.
Can we just get on with the meeting, okay?
Let's go on and get it over with, because
Jesus.
I'm getting very frustrated with you.
You're
I
asking
always
something, you
have
keep
behaviour.
piping up every time someone says something, you come in with the right reply, let's get it done, just stop piping up, muttering under your breath,
That's right.
let's get on with it.
So, in number 2 of the standing orders, disorderly conduct, no person is to obstruct the transaction of business or behave offensively or improperly, and the chair is instructing them just to stop this behaviour. And if the behaviour continues, then we will move to a further vote to exclude that person from the meeting. And they shouldn't really be here anyway. Okay. Anybody else wish to go? Phil, I'm sorry, you were rudely interrupted.
Yeah,
I'll bring you back in.
literally
We'll start your time again because I don't think you've quite
Literally
got
just
to,
2 sentences on it. It is very difficult to actually open a venue up to any sort of ceremony because you have to remove religious connotations from it, and this is the research. And this is what I found out since Old Chapel olden days. And I have to say that, to be really brutally honest with you, it's the same old faces that turn up to do things in the cemetery, with the allotments, with anything that's going on in the parish. It's the same few faces, plus my faithful dog, who do all the work. And I do object to being held to account by people who don't put in the effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millward. Anybody else got any comments on power of competence? John?
I would like us to put this chapel issue on one side because we all know that every aspect of it is under study at the moment and nothing has been concluded. So I'd like to that to be pushed on one side and we vote on the resolution.
Thanks, John. I mean, I did want to just say a few words on this, but if there's anybody else that wants to speak, is there anybody who wants to speak before me? David, Jordan,
I think this general power of competence came out of the Localism Act 2011. We need to look at it in a little bit more detail because it talks about eligibility requirements. So, is there an ulterior motive behind this? I don't know.
Councillor Keeble?
I agree that it needs to be looked into further as to full ins and outs of it. I did see that some of the benefits had a little check on general power competence earlier. They gave examples of provisions for youth clubs, and we've already funded youth clubs in our capacity that we can, and also taking on community centres. I think we all cast down our backs in Leegomery, we have taken on a community centre sort of as an area. So I don't see the necessary need for this, to be honest. I think we're already acting competently. That's just my 2 Ps.
Thanks, Jordan. Just on this from myself, obviously we recognise the potential benefits of adopting the general power of competence. But currently I don't think we're in a position to actually support this motion anyway. As Cllr Parr should be aware, there are key statutory requirements in adopting the general power of competence, which is that the council have a clerk who holds the certificate of local council administration, Cllr. So alongside that, the other eligibility, which is the right number of elected councillors, which we have. At present, the council does not have that, so we don't meet the criteria to actually pass this motion anyway. As in such, resolving now to adopt the power of the general power of competence on the 1st of September is preempting that the clerk will pass her Cllr, which I'm sure she will, but it's premature, and I don't think the council is being responsible in passing a motion that we don't currently meet the criteria for. So there's an expectation that if we pass this now, that there would be the necessary qualification obtained within that specific time frame, which we can't guarantee. So although I very much hope that it will be, but also to paint this as an idea that Cllr Parr thinks the general power of competence is a good idea. This is something we've been talking about for quite a long time, so this isn't a new idea. I'm quite surprised that it's been put forward in the form of a motion. We've talked about the clerks working towards their Cllr qualifications for quite some time. In the basically to try to make sure that we work towards those general powers of competence. It just seems like that we're jumping the gun. Until the clerk has passed Cllr, we cannot adopt this motion.
Just to make it very clear to you, to go for general power of competence, council must meet 2 criteria for eligibility: employ a qualified clerk who holds Cllr or higher education qualifications, and when the council passes the resolution, at least 2/3 of its councillors must be elected, not co-opted. For this council, that means 11 elected councillors. My point for this is that has got to be in place before you can even bring it to council and make a resolution. So, yeah, that's part of the Localism Act 2011, sections 1 to 8, Parish Council's General Power of Competence, Prescribed Conditions, Order 2012. You have got to have those in place before you can even bring the resolution to council to adopt general power of competence.
Councillor Parr?
I don't recall it being discussed in any meeting that I've been at, so I don't know if it was a while ago or if it was just in FNGP, so local council.
No.
But in light of what you've said, I will withdraw the motion. So.
Can I say something, please, Chair? Becky and I both sit in Cllr at the moment. We've been doing it for quite a long time because it takes over 200 hours to complete. Both Becky and I have used our holiday time to do the qualifications in. It has been paid for by the council, which has gone through the books, and we both currently have it being marked. So you should have general power of competence by May.
Well done. Thank you very much, ladies.
I mean, I would just like to say we could possibly have already had this in place. Did we not play these games at council all the time?
Yeah.
So, I'll move. Did you want to come back on the actual motion following the debate, Councillor Parr?
I withdrew the motion. I withdrew the motion a few minutes ago.
You've withdrawn the motion, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, the last one is Cllr Parr again. I'll hand over to you.
Second to last. This one is to agree locations to request new grip bins and agree the council's position on funding them. This is something I tried to get on the agenda at the last meeting, but it wasn't on there, so just give members an opportunity to put forward locations for new grip bins in the parish. We can make arrangements now before, it gives us plenty of time to get them in place before